Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. The Coyotes dropped three straight on a southeastern road trip against Florida, Tampa, and the Carolina Hurricanes. This All-Star and bye week cannot come at a better time for the Coyotes. Just all out of sorts. Just, only three-game road trip just came at a time where probably the Coyotes are looking too ahead. Maybe they're going to Cabo, Cuba, going on vacation, and it's like, oh, we got these three games against Stanley Cup contenders, and they dropped all three. Each one had a little wrinkle, and why the Coyotes lost each of those games. I would say the only positive out of the three games were Cooley and Gunther being played together consistently and grabbing points and making a difference in these games, having an impact positively on these games. Cooley, he's on a 4-game point streak, 2 goals in his last 3 games. Gunther, 3 points in his last 2 games. Even when the Coyotes were down and out, these two players were making plays and getting goals for the Coyotes and keeping them in the game as much as they could, even though most of these games were way out of hand. Things I disliked in these 3 games, I don't even think you could use the term a line blender for these 3 games. They pulled out the food processor, the line processor, and just went to town on that thing. I don't even think there was one consistent line through all these 3 games. It's annoying as a fan to watch. I'm sure for the players too. You need consistency and stability in your lineup. I know they're getting injuries a lot more lately. Dermott was out for that Carolina game. Dumba didn't come for the trip. They called up Soderstrom, but only played him in that Carolina game. Coming out of the All-Star break and the bye week, they're expecting Barrett Hayden back in the lineup. They're expecting their new waiver claim in Ruzicka to get his immigration papers all filled out and ready to go. Dumba, can't believe I'm saying this, but missing Dumba on the back end, and he's expected to come back in the lineup. So after this break, I'm looking for consistency in the lineup. Put Hayden back with Keller and Schmaltz. Keep that bona fide second line intact as well. Michelli, Bukestad, and Krause. Maybe a third line of a Cooley, Gunther, and Zucker, or Cooley, Gunther, and Kerfoot maybe. And then a fourth line of McBain, Ruzicka, and Carcone and O'Brien could flip around in that. Well, if you put Zucker with Cooley and Gunther, then it would be McBain, Kerfoot, and then the 3-way battle between Carcone, O'Brien, Ruzicka for that fourth line wing position, which I like. I don't think any of Carcone or O'Brien deserve to be in a lineup night in and night out. I think they need some competition. I'm looking for Ruzicka to push those guys, gives them a different look on that fourth line. If Ruzicka is in, he's 6'4", big body. He's got some sneaky skill. Maybe would work well with McBain and Kerfoot. All those 3 guys could put the puck in the net. So give us some more offensive firepower on that fourth line. That's what I'm hoping for out of the break. For the defensive side, you put back Dumba and maybe just shore up the defense, put Soderstrom back on the Roadrunners. But more importantly, keep Gunther up in the lineup. It's working. I think it would be a huge mistake if they send Gunther down after the break. I know during the break, I'm sure the Roadrunners maybe have a game or 2. Maybe he might go down for those games. But back when the Coyotes start up again, Gunther should be up with the team because him and Cooley, they're generating some good chemistry together, and that's the future. And it's working. They're getting points. They're playing better than other players on the forward group. They're playing better, more consistently than some other forwards. They get in these 3 games. The Florida game, the 2 fights right at the opening draw. Great to see. Never seen that again. I mean, I've been watching hockey 27 years now, maybe more, and 2 fights right after the draw. Great to see. Unfortunately, I think that helped the Panthers more than the Coyotes. I think the Panthers, that woke them up into this playoff style hockey. They just dominated that game. A lot of suspect and weak goals against Vejmelka, but Ingram didn't fare any better the next game against Tampa Bay. The Coyotes let 6 unanswered goals in that Florida game. They did have 20 shots in the second period during that Panthers-Coyotes game. I thought Bobrovsky had a great game and made that game look worse than it really was. Honestly, if the Coyotes got some good goaltending and some bounces went their way against Bobrovsky. Could have been a 4-3 game. It wasn't really as a blowout as it seemed. The Coyotes were trying. There was effort there. But even though it's 6-0 in the third period and then those 2 late goals, really thought that would help the Coyotes for the Tampa game, and it did. That Tampa game was close. That scoreboard, if you're a scoreboard watcher, that game was as close as it could have been. 3, again, suspect weak goals. Ingram let in. 1, a point shot from the blue line, just found its way in. A one-timer off to the side that was on the floor. And then just a Tampa Bay player skating down the wing and just shooting it right above Ingram's shoulder. Might have been a deflection, but that's 3 goals right there, where any other night Ingram would save those. And then it's like a 3-3 game. Coyotes got 3 goals on only 20 shots on Vasilevsky. Would have liked maybe some more shots, but the Coyotes kept it close, and there was effort offensively, consistent throughout the game. And then we go to the Carolina game where the offense just stopped right at the first period. I thought the first period the Coyotes were great. It was a 1-0 lead the Coyotes had in the first period. Cooley with the goal, primary assist to Gunther. I thought the Coyotes had a great road period here. I was like, okay, maybe they'll get a point or two the last game of this road trip. But no, after the first period, the Coyotes were just dominated and shut out. It was so hard for them to penetrate the Carolina's defensive zone. Even to get to Antti Ranta was such a difficult task. And there were so many points in this Carolina game where the Coyotes just went streaks of no shots. Outshot 7-0, 10 minutes in the second period. Didn't get a shot at all in the third period. Outshot 18-0. Just really unacceptable and embarrassing, to be honest. If you're talking about playoffs, playoff teams do not go 0-3-0 in this fashion at all during their season if they're a playoff team. But I won't say this 3-game losing streak is going to cost them their season. I think that came right out of the gate to start the calendar year of 2024, dropping 4 out of 5 at home, not playing really well at home in those 4 out of 5 games, losing 3 straight against the Kings in regulation, losing 3 straight against the Jets in regulation. I think when we look back at the season's end, those games, like was that 4-3, those 10 games, not getting any points, that's where the season was lost. You know, a random 3-game road trip out against Stanley Cup contenders, you can get away with that. I don't like how the games went, and it probably shows this team is not a playoff team. But coming out of the break, getting healthier, having more consistent lines, maybe the chemistry of Cooley and Gunther gets another line going and get more depth scoring, sitting O'Brien out, getting some talent on that 4th line consistently. The Coyotes come out of this break, they could go on a 2-3 game win streak and they're back in the hunt. They're only 4 points out. I believe a game in hand on the Predators. The Kings are struggling, like I said, which is why those 3 losses in regulation to the Kings really matters. I mean, there's a chance, but after these 3 games, you really don't think there's a chance. But if we see Hayden practicing with the team in the lineup for the first game back from the break, that first line gets it going, and then the other lines are more familiar, they could easily come back and rebound off this rough little stretch here. So I'm not too worried, but the first week or 2 after the break is really where we're gonna see if these guys are built for the playoffs or not. This did not look like a playoff team at all. The 3 straight losses and in embarrassing fashion in some of those games. So keep our head up. Maybe the fans need a break. The players for sure, they're tired, and get some healthy bodies back in the lineup, and we'll see from there. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.